Boys, how we doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Rise Up, the podcast. We got a great one in store for you. We got a Tucker Durkin interview. We got preview for this weekend, games in Gillette. But fellas, let me hear about your week. I haven't seen you guys in a week. It's good to see you. How we doing?
Good, man. I had a little vacation. Was at the beach, relaxed, ready to roll. Let's go.
Yeah, looking lean and mean too with that black Roback hat.
Thanks, dog.
So I want to give a quick shout out to Roback because when we got the code to select a couple things, I went right for the polos because I don't have any because I look stupid in polos. But even I look good in this polo, man.
I agree.
This is thank you.
It looks like you just shot a 72 in that polo. Look at you coming off the link.
No,
you got your sunscreen. You're rocking a mean tan. Holy shit!
I'm pretty sure I know what that means too. So I got jet skis, a little lifeguard thing on here, sunglasses. I came downstairs and my wife was like, wow. And I was like, what do you think? She's like, does it have any other colors? But the fit, dude, this is like the ultimate like summer polo, man. I love this thing. We had a little family reunion. My brother and his wife live down in Audubon, New Jersey. So this was the first time that me and all of my siblings and my parents were together since before the pandemic with our kids.
That's awesome.
So that was a lovely little Saturday that we had there. That was awesome. How about you, Sibes? How was your weekend, man?
It was good. I went back out to Long Island, went to the beach, had a good time. Now I'm back here, back in New York City, but it was a great weekend. Saw some buddies from college. Now back nose to the grindstone, but I'm rocking my Roback too. My nice hoodie, my nice summer hoodie, nice lightweight. Big shout out to Roback for the new sponsorship. Make sure you guys go check out some of the gear so you can be looking as fresh as us. Make sure you use the promo code RISEUP20, get you 20% off, get you looking clean, get you looking good like Scotty in that black Roback cap. Look at that.
Looks good, don't it?
Hell yeah.
That's look good,
man. And we want another special shout out to our newest sponsor, Level Select CBD. Greg's been raving about them. I think he's been eating them like Starburst.
Now, let me tell you about this stuff. So they have a Focus Energy 1. Okay, it's ginseng and caffeine. If you're like dragging a little bit, I got 2 kids, so I'm certainly dragging a lot. So I grabbed one of these. But at night, they have their sleep one, melatonin, and CBD, and I take a couple of those, brush my teeth, start reading a book, and I am out in 30 minutes, and I go directly to REM, and I feel awesome when I wake up, dude. I'm a huge fan of this stuff. I'm going to be getting this by the case moving forward.
Dude, I took 2 last night after a long weekend at the beach. I feel better today.
Yeah, we've been loving them. They sent us the immunity one too after, a nice weekend of boozing. I took one of those immunity ones this morning, some vitamin C packed in it. Yeah, so nothing but good things to say. We appreciate all of our sponsors. If you guys want to try some of those Level Select CBD gummies, make sure you use code RISE20, RISE20 for 20% off your order. Fellas, we just kind of crushed that intro. Let's get into our playoff preview. We ready to jump right in?
Let's do
one take squad. Let's do it.
Games are at Gillette Stadium this weekend. I know it's a fun venue for a lot of people. Home to the New England Patriots, my favorite NFL team. So I know it's special for a lot of guys playing there. We have a special announcement though before we get into the previews. Greg, Scotty, one of you guys want to kick it off? Want to make a big announcement?
Okay, so if anybody's followed me on Twitter for the last couple of years, I've been trying to push the idea of a college game day-esque pregame show on location for the PLL. Because the PLL is a tour-based league, I figure that would be an awesome thing to do. And they agreed. So TorchPro and PLL are going to be hosting our podcast live from Championship Sunday on the 18th in Philly. You guys come by. If you're in the fan zone, we will be coming at you live with a pregame show, whooping up with the fans. And then we're going to hit the field afterwards for the action. We'll be inside the stadium, kissing babies, signing autographs, having a great time. So excited thank you, TorchPro, for this opportunity. Thank you, Paul and Mike and the PLL. I think this is something that people are going to enjoy. I know I certainly am. I'm going to be grabbing a Whiz Wit while I'm in there, man.
100%. 100%.
It's sad, though. Jim's on South Street is my go-to, and they had a fire recently, so they're not open for business right now. So I'm going to have to come up with a backup plan. I am taking anybody's recommendations for a backup plan because Jim's has always been my go-to.
Yeah, I'm going to follow you.
We'll get one of them. I'll show you my spots. I'm a Villanova guy. I know my way around there.
That's the main line, though, man. Villanova's the main line.
Oh, we make our way in. I want to see Scotty on that bull in Xfinity Live. We're going to get Scotty on that bull, riding the bull in Xfinity Live. That's going to be something that you guys are going to want to check out.
A little Chicky and Pete's action before we get in. Okay, I'm absolutely.
I didn't know those were in your diet.
That definitely after.
Cheat day?
Take it easy.
24. We got that 24-hour window on weekends, cheat meals. Let's get it all in on that day. It's fine.
One day.
I love it. Guys, yeah, we're so excited about this. We hope you guys come out, support us. You can ask these guys all the questions you're afraid to tweet at them about. So we love it. We're excited to get down there. But let's talk quarterfinals. Yeah. We touched upon it, Gillette Stadium. Let's get into some previews. The first game, we have Chrome versus the defending champs, but also the 7 seed, the Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we had Blazer on last week. I kind of like that mentality that they have going into the playoffs. I think it is a new season. I think they are dangerous. But like we said, man, the Chrome are your team, our Sibes' team all year. They've been crushing it. And I honestly think that's a young pup team that is playing way ahead of their years. And I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to get chippy. Remember that Manly, Frazier little scuffle? I think there's going to be something there. And I just think it's going to be 2 teams. Listen, if you lose, you go home. So I expect to be a 1-goal game. Honestly, man, I expect it to be a good one.
I think you make a good point, Scotty, when it comes to playoff lacrosse and this particular Chaos team. When I was playing with Team USA, we would play Canada in the round robin. And it would be, hard-fought game, whatever. But in the gold medal game, the chippiness level was accelerated tenfold. And it was all about how much in your head can we get. An extra shot here and there inside the crease, a little shot to the kidneys here when you're setting a pick, jawing at you on the way off the field.
Yeah.
Can this Chrome team that is, they have some experience for sure, but very young nucleus, can they handle that kind of playoff lacrosse? There's nothing that I've seen this season that makes me think that they can't. And when I look at the goalie situation, I think Blaze is going to be playoff Blaze. There's a really good chance when you play against playoff Blaze that you're going under double digits. However, they are going to get a pretty substantial advantage at the faceoff stripe. And I believe that this team, we talked about Nick Turn. Nick Turn looks like he's playing in his 6th season. Right. I think this team, when they're getting more possessions, they're not a 2-bomb team. They are a singles team. They're going to hit you with singles over and over and over again. I feel like the teams that suffer the most against playoff Blaze are the teams that love to shoot the 2, and he erases it and takes it away from you. This team, I think, is built for the playoffs, this Chrome team, and I know Blaze really had us considering this Chaos team for sure. This is going to be a hell of a game, man.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with both of you guys. I mean, this is such an interesting matchup because, you just look at it on paper, not on paper roster-wise, but just on paper, 2 versus 7. You're like, it's 2 versus 7. This is a no-brainer. But you can't.
Statistically, it looks like a 2 versus 7 when you look at the numbers,
But then you go a layer deeper and you look at the past 2 seasons for the Chaos, right? Yep. They went defeated in the bubble, in the round robin, and they run to the championship in a game they probably should have won, that they're kicking themselves that they didn't win.
Yeah.
So that was 2 years ago. Last year, lackluster regular season, right? They weren't turning any heads. They make a run and take down the perennial champion since the PLL has been in existence. So they have the playbook to do it. Is it a sustainable way to go through the playoffs? No. We had Blaze on here. I mean, I love his mentality. I love his view on the world in general. If you guys haven't listened to that interview, go back and listen to last week's episode. What a beauty having him on.
Awesome.
But he makes me want to pick the Chaos, but I can't. I can't go against how I've been all season. I'm riding Chrome. I'm riding them all the way to Philly. This game's so interesting. And that face-off matchup, I'm looking at the numbers now. Stat guy Seibel. The Chaos are only facing off at 43%. Blaze really is going to have a game if you're going to make up for that difference, right? We used to say if you can get face-off percentage and goalie percentage to equal 100 to 110, you're going to win most games. Right now they're in the 90s. That's why they haven't won many games. So you really need Blaze to step up and make up for that difference.
Well, I asked Blaze during our interview last week about what he thinks the game plan is going to be. Now, Andy Towers is a brilliant coach. He's a brilliant person. He's also a rah-rah, I got your back no matter what guy.
Yeah.
One of those has to win out strategically. Are you going to try to convince Max Adler that he's your guy and say, you can do this, and hope that Max honestly gets away with some stuff that Matty Palin lets him do? And if he is, I feel like he can hang in there. But if the more game plan centric Andy Towers strategically says CJ Costabile is going to come up to the faceoff stripe half the time at least, he's going to rake, and then if Connor scoops the ground ball, we're locking off and we're going to take his cookies, and then we're going to go and transition the other way. I wish I had a crystal ball, because if someone said, Greg, yes, CJ Costabile's taking half the faceoffs, I would bet Chaos on this game, because it neutralizes by far the Chrome's greatest asset in this matchup. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
We have no idea, right?
No.
I know.
So it's tough.
I feel like we're teetering back. We're trying to talk ourselves into the Chaos. I'm going to ask you guys for your picks, and we're going to lock these in. Scotty's wearing a hat this week because we didn't get to do picks last week, so saved himself from another losing record. We gave him the hat this week.
Yeah, man, but I'm still going to go with the Chaos.
I love it.
I love your faith.
Yeah, I love your faith too. I'm going to go with the Chrome. It's really hard for me because, like you said, we know what the Chaos have done in the past. If we didn't know, if they haven't done this before, this would be an easy pick. It's not, though. It's a really hard pick. I'm just going to believe in the faith of Connor Farrell getting enough possessions. Scanoni, by the way, is also 54%. Him and Blaze are both 54% save percentage-wise on the season. Yeah. Blaze has faced way more shots, but they are both 54%. So I think if the Chrome keep Chaos out of transition twos, that the Chrome win this game. So I'm going Chrome.
Awesome. Me too, obviously. Going Chrome. Riding that future. I'm going to start doubling down on my future, I think. Now it's less value, but just double until I'll pay our way down to Philly.
You're going to put Noah in the poorhouse, man.
Yeah, you might. You might.
I hear you. Guys, next game, I mean, all these are super interesting games, in my opinion, matchup-wise. This one, is the same. Archers versus Redwoods. Game 2 of the weekend. Archers kind of Jekyll and Hyde season, I'd say at times. Redwoods seem to be coming up, rising. Greg, we'll start with you on this one. What are you seeing in this game?
So I think, when you look at these two teams, I believe that from an advantage, I think the Redwoods are going to be able to get some twos. You don't know which Gits is going to show up. It could be great Gits. It could be 32% Gits. I think Rob Pinnell has control of this offense right now. I believe in his ability to – he's allowing the game to come to him, and then whatever mistakes you're making or whatever defense you're playing, he's going to apply the pressure where it needs to be. If he's pushing GLE and getting to that 5-5, the Archers can either let him get there, and then I think he's just going to bully it and he's gonna hammer home his points. If they slide adjacent, then he's gonna bang it up top, and we're gonna look at some twos. I think the Redwoods are going to have a advantage on faceoff percentage just based on the numbers when they've played them this year so far. I think the Archers' offense, even though it's looking like it's starting to click a little bit, and Tommy Schreiber is still the best player in the world, if I have to pick one defense over the other, I'll pick the Redwoods' defense over the Archers, and they're going to have a slight advantage on possessions. Now, all of that aside, I only bet with my heart in the playoffs. And I have to bet Redwoods because that's my team, and I'm going to go with them in this first round game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Greg, I agree with a lot of those points. I just think that the ultimate X factor is the goaltending in this game. It's going to be, one or two saves more could be the difference. I think it's going to be a close game. I think both teams are vet heavy. So I think both of these teams are playing maybe the last time with their group, I want to say. I think that's pretty accurate. But I also got to trust in the Archers here with, as hard as we've been on them about they got to put it together. When's the run going to come? Is this the year? Dude, they've had a great year, right? And I think they know who they are, like their identity. I honestly just think it's going to be the Archers in a 1-2 goal game. Goaltending the difference. I think Gitz comes up with one or two extra. And obviously they scrap, man. They scrap. Listen, it's going to be not for a lack of effort on the other side, but I just think the Archers are due for one here.
Yeah, I've been in this game, and I know that these two teams are going to go at each other real hard. We're going to get a lot of fun. I feel like this is going to be an instant classic. Rob Pennell on one side of the field, Tommy Schreiber, and that whole cast of characters from the Archers on the other side. So I think we're in for a really fun matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think the Archers ended their season on a super high note, right? They beat the Water Dogs pretty convincingly. Connor Fields went off, who, quite frankly, he wasn't that was his best game of the season by far. And that's encouraging for Archers fans going forward, right? If they can get 5-goal production out of him, taking the pressure off, some of the other names like, Ament, Schreiber, Will, Manny, Marcus Holman, that secondary production is huge for them. On the flip side, I think Charlie Bertrand is playing himself into a household name this year.
Yeah.
I saw he was up for the Midi of the Year award this year, deservingly so. I mean, what a 100%. Season he's been having. Big shout out to him. I think Ryder's been playing with increased intensity every week. I think, Kavanaugh might not have had the year he would have wanted, but I mean, playoffs with him, all bets are off. He's bringing it. He's such an intense guy and he's such a gamer, so competitive. He's going to bring it. And then, you touched upon Pennell, you're going to get his best every game. This is a hard game for me to pick. I think, during the year, I think the Archers got them by a goal. And these teams are, closer than they think. I think, 4 of the Archers wins this year have been against the Cannons in the Chaos, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm keeping in mind looking at this as like a 3 versus 6 seed. It's a little bit closer than that, I think. So I'm still thinking. I don't really know who I have yet right now. I don't know, Greg. You got DraftKings up. Who's the favorite in this one? The Archers, I'm assuming, just because they're the highest seed.
It's hard for me to picture the Archers not being the favorite in this game right now. But let's take a little gander here.
I mean, it's going to be close. By
the way, DraftKings cricket is listed before lacrosse. It's embarrassing. Okay, so right now the Archers are a 1.5 favorite.
What's the juice?
So the OU is 24.5, and they're at 120 minus 125. I really think when I look at the differentiating factors, when you look at X factors here, right? Goalie play for both teams has been up and down. Face-off wise, Justin Inacio has looked like he's getting it at times, but TD started off the game like 8 or 9 for 9 last time they played. I see the Redwoods, when you talk about a great offense, the way that the Redwoods are playing offense as a team right now. And like you said, Garnsey and Cav, like they look like they have accepted, like, okay, Rob, you are initiating. And it looks like everybody's on the same page and they like their roles right now. That's real dangerous if you're playing the Redwoods. Because if they're going to get, say, 2-1 possessions off the face-off, it doesn't matter how good your offense is if they're not seeing the ball. So if the Redwoods are converting early and they can get a little bit of a lead going, I feel like they are bound to hit 1 or 2 twos as well, because that's what they do.
I agree with that.
That's, with my heart, I'm going to bet Redwoods regardless. But my mind is also saying it's a pretty smart pick, especially in the playoffs when you think a team it could go either way and it's a goal and a half favorite. Yeah. At least the spread, you might be into something there.
What are you feeling, Scotty? How are you leaning on this one?
All the games are goal and a half, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Archers. Just like a 1-goal game, man, honestly.
I'm leaning Redwoods. I know Greg and I are matching picks. We're going against.
You guys are winning a lot.
Yeah, Sibes is playing it safe right now.
Yeah.
If I just keep picking everything Greg picks, then I'm going to win.
I'll keep my lead. No, I'm feeling the Redwoods. I talked myself into it. I think it's going to be a good game. I think that I don't know. I just think that they're playing with some heart right now. They're playing with intensity, and then. I didn't even think about that. I should have initially, but once you said it was kind of TD versus Inacio, I mean, TD's still. I know we kind of
still sick.
Give him flack here and there, as not playing as up to his potential at times. But I mean, he's still the guy. Come on,
he's playing to his potential. It's just that people have figured him out, and if he continues to evolve, he'll continue to be in the top half of the league for sure. But that's the way faceoffs go in the pros. You have to continue to evolve if you're going to stay on top. So, TD is definitely in the top half of the league. So when you go against a rookie in his first game and you've had success against him in the past, unless Inacio has really taken a step forward and has a really serious game plan that he's going to change some things or take away an exit or whatever, I don't know if he has or not. So, until proven otherwise, that's where I'm going.
I hear you. No, that's fair. And last game of the weekend, the 4-seeded Atlas versus the 5-seeded Water Dogs. We just had Tucker on the podcast. Hearing him, you'll hear him in a little bit. But he talked about kind of their plan and what this kind of game means to them. Scotty, you were a member of the Atlas not too long ago. Some of the guys are still on the team that you played with. How do you think they're going into this game, versus the Water Dogs?
Listen, we can't overlook the Trevor factor, right? Trevor's killing it.
You beat Greg to it.
I think they're going to have the ball. I also think, obviously, Tucker's going to be locked in. They got these vets now. Eric Law is going to be jacked up to go. But he's also the calming presence for a young team in a playoff atmosphere, which I'm not worried about that moment being too big for that team because you have a guy like Lawsy who's going to calm everything down, right? So, and then you get that stability with Jack. Dude, they're really hard to beat right now. I think, I had them in the whips going to the end. I'm going to have to go with the Atlas.
I was really excited to talk about the goalie matchup in this. So I'm glad you touched on the face-off stuff. So this could be a very realistic Canada versus America matchup next summer. And, Dylan Ward, when he's on, is very tough to beat. But so is Concannon. And I feel like the interesting thing to remember is even though Trevor very well may dominate the initial possession of the ball here, when Withers does win, that he tends to generate transition. Whether it's out of a chaotic 3-on-3 face-off and Courier just scoops it up one-handed, swims someone, comes down and creates. I feel like their transition is what makes them so scary. We've talked about it in the past and how quickly they get the ball up off their defensive end of the field and into the stick of McCardle or whoever's finishing on the opposite end of the field. It's crazy how fast they do it. I think Concannon will continue to be very solid. I think having Trevor there, especially if he starts the game off and wins the first couple of faceoffs, I think they learned a lot from their Whip Snakes situation, right? Where they had opportunities to either get into the game or stay in the game, and they got the door slammed on them. So coming down and making these shots count, I think they're scouting really hard to see what they can do and make sure they pick their spots. I think this Atlas team is built for a run. I've thought it all season, and I'm going to continue to believe that. They're going to get the majority of possessions. Who knows how well Withers will play? I'm sure he's going to play better than he has all season, but I still believe Trevor's the MVP of this league this year, and he's going to get it. Not only can he do that, but he can also create transition. I think their defense, like Tucker talked about, is going to be on gloves. They're not going to let them spin the ball quickly, and I think they're going to get in the hole as fast as they can to try to annihilate that transition advantage. So I'm going to go with the Atlas on this.
So when I look at this game, I think a couple of things, right? We talked about earlier in the couple of shows ago, how much we love this Water Dogs midfield and how, they've done a great job initiating, getting north-south, how much of a Swiss Army knife Courier is, but also, Sowers is playing great behind. And their offense is really versatile where they can go from down low or up top. A lot of teams in this league, the ball gets down in the attack and it's stuck down there, right? The middies might not see it for the rest of the possession, especially with the short clock. Atlas, I want to go with the Atlas a little bit, but there's no fun in that. You guys are going with the Atlas. So I'm going to go with the Water Dogs. And I'll tell you a couple things going through my head. Obviously, the Atlas attack of Teat, Gray, and Law, nasty. I mean, they're going to get theirs. The way that I think the Water Dogs win this game is they hold the Archers midfield, the Atlas midfield to minimal points. You can't let guys like Costabile get going. You can't let guys like Bucaro or Dox Aiken get going because those guys can get going. They haven't had, the most points this year, but all it takes is one game, and then all of a sudden you blink and Bucaro has 5 goals. He's a baller.
Logan coming out from transition.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I think if the Water Dogs can hold the Atlas midfield in check, that gives them the victory, in my opinion. Even with the discrepancy at the faceoff X, I think that the Water Dogs do a great job of valuing their possessions and making them count. And I think it's going to be a tight game. If the Water Dogs are going to win, it's going to be by a goal. I could very easily see an overtime win here, but I'll go with the Water Dogs to mix it up. Maybe let you guys catch up a little bit.
I'm going to bet that 2 of these 3 games go to OT.
I like that.
Yeah.
2 of these great. 3 games. I mean, I would love that.
I think Chaos is going to OT, and I think this is going to OT.
Yeah.
What's better than some free lax?
Free lax, baby.
Free lacrosse. What a time to be alive.
I completely agree. And also, I think that's great for, the viewership, the people watching on ESPN, the people there in attendance, get their money's worth. Be like, oh my God, for those casual viewers that, might not be as big of junkies as we are that, flip it on ESPN. They're like, oh, like, this is fucking awesome to watch. Like, this is getting the blood pumping. So, yeah, I hope we do get some good games this weekend. And I think you're right, Greg. I think we will.
I remember in 2019, the first 2 weeks, 5 of the 6 games were 1-goal games. In 2019,
yeah, it was
we
tight.
were like, this league ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
it's like a competitive balance.
We're pretty evenly matched. I agree.
Yeah.
And let's not forget right now the Whip Snakes. They earned their bye. They're sitting at home this week, resting up, getting an extra week of rest. Hopefully, they're getting rest, not rust, but they're resting up, and we'll see them in 2 weeks in DC. But now, since we concluded that little preview and picks for next week in Gillette, we're going to turn it over to an interview with Tucker Durkin. He's 6-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Pro, All-American in college, All-World, playing
Captain
for Team
America.
USA. Yeah, Captain America. Good buddies with Scotty. Thanks for Scotty convincing him to come on and chop it up with us. Welcome to the podcast, Tucker Durkin. Awesome. Well, hey, Tucker, thanks for joining us on Rise Up, the podcast. I think you're our first defenseman we've had on, so it's good to get, the point of view for some of the guys that do the thankless jobs out there that don't get as much of the shine. So we're pumped to have you on. I know Scotty and Greg have been talking about it all weekend, that they're so psyched that you agreed to come talk and chop it up with us three knuckleheads. So yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I've been following along some of what you guys have been doing. It looks great. So pumped to be on here.
Oh yeah, Tuck.
I mean, I have a rare view of Durkin Island.
Oh yeah, baby,
in all its glory.
Yeah, Tuck. I mean, Tuck, talk to me a little bit about this season. It's been kind of special. Obviously, we were teammates for years. Developing into that like vet role. How do you feel this team's different than the teams in the past?
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty interesting year. I felt like, we came out of the gates, came out of training camp, playing really well in that first half of the season before the All-Star break. I almost felt like, we were kind of hitting our stride a little bit too early. As you guys know, it's all about, playing your best at the right time. But we had a really good first half of the season. We had the All-Star break. And in the second half of the year, we've kind of, been trying to find our way, to be just completely transparent with you guys. We've been a little bit up and down. So we lost a couple games in a row, kind of towards the back end of the season there, but, finished the regular season with a big chaos win. So, I think the year's been, pretty good, pretty positive up to this point. Looking back, there's always, games and specific plays you look to that you wish, could have gone different. But, playoffs are starting. Everybody's 0-0. We're coming off a really good win. So, I kind of like where we're sitting right now. Compared to previous years, it felt like, in 2021, we were playing, really good at the end of the year, right before the playoffs. And then it kind of felt like a little bit of a lull, once we got to the postseason. So, each year is different. We're still a younger team. I'm the oldest guy on the team, which, is pretty interesting and goes pretty quick, man. I remember my first couple years. Man. I felt like I was the young guy on the team not that long ago, but it's been all good. It's good so far.
Love it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Trev about that at USA tryouts when I was evaluating. And I was looking at him, I'm like, life comes at you fast, huh? Like, he was the young buck on that Team USA squad, and now he's a vet, and it's crazy. But when you look at your guys' success and what is going to take you over the hump in the playoffs, we know Jack is having a phenomenal season in Gage, and Trevor is having what can be considered an MVP year so far. We know those things will be intact. But what do you feel like as a leader on this team has been a little inconsistent, and as long as you have it consistent, you'll be okay?
Yeah, I think, you nailed it. I think, a lot of times when you're looking at the success of a team, a lacrosse team at any level, first you're looking at, the goalie and the face-off and how you're doing in those specific positions. And, we feel really good, about obviously Trevor and Jack. I think for us, we have a young group, and we've got, we don't have a ton of super outgoing and guys that have an arrogance to them on the field. We've got a lot of guys that are super unselfish, and I think at times that's why, when we're at our best, it's because we're being unselfish. But at the same time, when we're at our worst, I think it's because we're being too unselfish. So I think it's about following, kind of finding that balance going into the playoffs and, understanding on both sides of the ball, right? There's times to be unselfish, but there's also times where, offensively, you got to stick your foot in the ground and you got to beat your guy. right? It's like last 10, 15 seconds of the shot clock. It's time to go to the goal, and it's time to be a little bit selfish. And defensively, a little bit of the same. There's times to, kind of sit back, and there's times to be aggressive. And I think if we can figure out, when to be selfish and when not to be selfish, which is easier said than done, that's when we're playing our best. And I think, we can compete and beat anybody if we're doing that.
Yeah, Tuck, I think you guys are so unique in the sense of like your career as you're a defensive coach collegially, Crawley, obviously offensively. So I feel like having those guys with that IQ is definitely something that kind of differentiates you guys like in the pro game. Because you guys, when you bring a huddle in, it's not just on Ben or Kenny Clausen, right? To break it down, you guys know what's going on. You guys know X's and O's pretty well. You think that's kind of an advantage for you guys? Yeah,
I think I've always said, when you're playing professional lacrosse, you have, 20, 15, 20, 25 guys that are all leaders and all know the game really well. And the issues come when like you've got, 15 or 20 guys saying 15 or 20 maybe different things or the same thing, but in like a different way, right? So I think, we definitely have a team of leaders and a team of guys that know the game. But it also doesn't feel like, everybody's trying to, get their 2 cents in. I think, the coaches do a great job.
Yeah, like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like, I'm obviously a voice and a leader on the defense, but, I'm talking to Cade and talking to Rex and talking to Craig Chick and talking to Kenny, right? But it's constructive conversation, which I think has been good for us. So we definitely, with that kind of unselfish, vibe of our team, we don't have like 20 alphas, like, trying to get their, point across.
We've had that.
Most of our conversations pretty good. So,
yeah. No, I think that's a really interesting point you bring up, because in a lot of cases, a lot of, you guys out there coach, you have other hats on. You coach at Drexel. And I know a lot of guys around the league are coaching elsewhere. Has your experience as a coach at Drexel and having the young guys on the team, coaching them up, or do you take it where you don't want to, step on your coach's toes? Like, do you walk that line, or how do you kind of approach that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say, I've got a really good, strong relationship with Ben and Kenny too. Whereas if I feel like, I can provide some value to any guy on the team, really offensively, defensively, I don't think twice about, telling them how I think they can be better or something they can do to help them out in that specific game or with that matchup. So I don't really worry about, stepping on toes too much. And, the conversations between myself and the coaches and the guys they're constructive, and, I think they trust me and I trust them. So,
yeah, kind of on that same vein, I've called plenty of the CAA games on Lac Sports Network, and the job that you have done with Drexel's defense has been phenomenal over the years. And I know when I started Faceoff Academy, I almost felt like I saw the game better after I was coaching. Have you found that being a defensive coordinator for Drexel has assisted you in the way you play the game as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think just by nature, you're like, you're entrenched in the game of lacrosse for an extra, 6-8 months than guys that aren't college coaching, right? So you're seeing the game on a daily basis. You're watching your guys. You're learning, right? Is like, one of my biggest things is, I feel like every week, even in practice, I'm just learning like, something here or something there that I'm like, wow, I never really thought about it. We're playing defense that way or sliding this way or, so I do feel like being entrenched in the game as a college coach helps you as a player, just because you're continuing to learn. And it's like, I think lacrosse is, for a lot of reasons is the best sport, but there's so much to it. And there's not one way to play, and there's not, one way to defend or one way to, run an offense. There's a million different ways to do it. It's about, taking a look at who the guys are and what the best way, to suit everybody's strengths, I think is important.
Yeah, switching it up a little bit, Tuck. We always talk about being ambassadors of the game. I know, Greg and I coach. You're a coach. Every time I talk about the guys that do it right, you've always been one of the guys, like watching you doing camps with you defensively. I know you pride yourself on footwork, right? And I know a lot of guys that are doing this position teach kids how to do checks and takeaways. What's like your philosophy on it? Like with the youth game, I know Greg and I and Danny, we talk about the state of youth lacrosse. How do you feel like? I always felt like footwork's the most important piece. First, if you have that, then we can move forward. That's like your training wheels. What's like your philosophy on that?
Yeah. I mean, we've coached plenty of camps, and we're at different ends. Scotty looks down. I've got like 10 million cones, and guys like freaking running, approaching, backpedaling. But yeah, no, I've always thought that footwork is should be the foundation of any really good defenseman when you're just starting out. And I think for me, I played basketball in high school, and I really feel like that helped me as a defenseman in lacrosse, just in terms of you don't have a stick, right? So you got to keep your body in front of guys, and you've got to talk through picks and screens and angles and communication, all that. But if you don't have footwork in basketball, you can't be a good defender. Like there's no way around it, unless maybe you're like really long and can get some steals. But I felt like that, playing basketball and understand the footwork and teamwork in basketball helped me a ton with lacrosse. And then, I also consider myself the luckiest defenseman to ever play because of the coaches I've had. In high school, I had Tony Resch, who obviously has coached world teams. He's coached professional teams. So he was my high school defensive coach, and he himself was a world-class player and one of the best defensemen ever. And it was all about footwork and all about angles and all about being physical and kind of setting a tone that way, but doing it the right way. And then obviously when I got to college at Hopkins, I had Petro, who obviously everybody knows, and their philosophies were very similar. I mean, you see highlights of Coach Petro, and the game was different, but he was known for taking the ball away and going over the head and throwing all sorts of checks. But it's not really the way he coached. He coached footwork. He coached approaches. He coached stick position and ton of technique. He was like super particular on how your body position on and off the ball. But it all started with footwork and being able to play the ball. So I definitely would say basketball, like playing basketball, it helped me and appreciate how important footwork is in lacrosse. And then I've had two of the best, if not the best, defensive coaches in the game of lacrosse as my high school and college coaches. So, and they focused on footwork. So
I wouldn't call you lucky. I wouldn't call you lucky. You're all right.
Yeah, I like to think you earned those opportunities, but changing gears here a little bit, Tuck. Like looking forward to the playoffs this weekend. You guys have done an amazing job this season. You put yourself in a position to be number 2. Tell me about this game coming up against the Water Dogs. What are you most excited for from a matchup standpoint?
I think, look, they've had a great season. I think offensively, they've got a ton of weapons. It starts with Sowers kind of, but also Kieran McArdle. Connor Kelly has been awesome this season. I think Schlosser's gotten back and given them an extra punch at the midfield. Courier literally does it all. obviously on the offensive end, but between the lines, off the wings, plays defense. So, defensively looking at them, I mean, they have a ton of weapons. And, you could make an argument that they have as many weapons as any team in the league, honestly, with just what they bring to the table. And their ability to go. I think we got in trouble when we played them the first time. We were like kind of sliding and hedging a lot because they were winning their one-on-one matchups more than we would have liked. And, those guys show that they can be feeders too. Right. So I think for us, it starts playing the ball defensively. It's like we got to win one-on-one matchups, versus their horses and make good decisions off the ball. They're also a team that pushes transition, and you can feel like you've played great defense for 90% of the game and give up 15 goals some games because teams are coming down hitting 2-pointers. Like it's fucking nuts. So I think finding a way to play them in the box and not letting them go from D to O, is super important. But that's important every game, right? It's like you can't let teams just run wild in transition. And they do it really well, a really good job defensively. I like watching them play. I mean, they slide, recover. They got a lot of guys that can cover the ball, but I think they play good team defense. So I'd say top to bottom, they're tough, man. They're tough. And obviously Dylan Ward and Cage, is one of the best and has the ability to take over a game at any point. And I've been on the wrong side of that a couple times. So, they're tough, but at the same time, we're tough, man. And I think we've got weapons on both sides of the ball. I think, we can do really well at the face-off X, and, I'll put Jack up against anybody in the world, for us to have a goalie advantage this weekend. So, I think our best lacrosse is in front of us. And it's going to be a tough game, but, I do feel good about it. And I think the fact that we lost to them in overtime, I think it helps us a little bit, honestly. I think it does, because it was a game that we felt we didn't play our best. Maybe they didn't feel they played their best either, but we took them to overtime and lost. So it's kind of a revenge game for us.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one, for sure.
Definitely going to be a fun one. I mean, the last time you guys played, it was high scoring, very exciting. But is the way your season ended last year, is that still something that gets brought up or left a sour taste in your mouth going into this playoff run? Or is that kind of close the record book, new season, we're not going to worry about that, just focus on what's in front of us?
It hasn't gotten brought up. In training camp, you're talking about it beginning of the season, but each season's different. You've got different group of guys. You've got rookies. You're focused on that next game. You're focused on improving on your last game. So, I mean, it still hurts when, thanks for bringing it up. But, I would say it's a new season. You're not thinking too much about the previous season. We just played the Chaos, so it actually was brought up a little bit, last week. But that was the team that obviously knocked us out in Philly. So,
love it, man. Love it.
Let's get a little fun question going. I'm sure the listeners will love this one. You got the opportunity, or I should say, Scotty and Greg got the opportunity to be teammates of yours. Tell me what it's like, playing with them. I'm sure it's a little different in both cases, but I'm sure the fans would love to hear.
I feel like I'm getting hijacked right now.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. The first time I was on Greg's team was in the 2014 World Games. So Greg's from Philly, I'm from Philly, and I remember being in grade school, I think, when Greg was playing professional lacrosse. So it was pretty much full circle.
God damn it.
I didn't think I would ever be, I didn't think I would be playing, on the same team as Greg. but it was awesome, man. We obviously we had a Philly connection, and we actually have some mutual friends from Penn State that we both know. So he's definitely a guy I looked up to and saw playing at the highest level. Literally, when I started playing lacrosse, I think Greg was playing professional lacrosse.
All right, man, we get it. I'm old. Holy shit.
Really good. But, in terms of Scotty, so my first job out of college, I was after Hopkins. I was.
You don't have to do this.
So we were pretty close buds. Especially on the weekends in Baltimore when I was right out of college. So he was, showing me the ropes around Baltimore. And I think the first time Scott and I played was with the Atlas on the same team. So obviously somebody as a close friend, and getting to suit up with them was a good time. So
the one thing about Dirk is he's one of the best pros as far as taking care of his body. I mean, what he puts in the off season, how he trains, his intensity is very similar to mine, very similar to Greg's. So I think that was an easy, right away, we had a bridge right there. But what people don't know about Tuck is when he turns that switch on before a game, you've heard some of his speeches, but they don't get all of them. He gets a little intense. He's a little crazy.
He gets this crazy look in his eyes, and you're like, holy shit, I'm glad he's on our side. Oh my God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in the 2014 World Games, we were playing the Iroquois squad, and Quint was just excited because that was his team. Iroquois was his team, man. He was so pumped to watch USA lose Iroquois. Tuck, remember that? Holy shit. Stands were absolutely packed, and Petro just walked up to Tuck and just click, took the leash off. And Lyle was stuck on Durkin Island, and we went up by 10 goals in the first quarter. The stands just started emptying out. Quint was crying in a corner, and Durkin Island was born, man. And we never let that go, dude. Durkin Island, amazing.
That was actually a sick game. Yeah, that was damn.
That was.
That's always a fun matchup. Watching you and Lyle go at it. That's always one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean he's
Is he your favorite matchup, Tuck? Who's the guy you get most excited to go against from a challenge standpoint?
I mean, Lau obviously is one of the best players ever, and anytime that you play against a guy that has a lot of success and notoriety, and you want to bring a little extra for a matchup like that. And, he's just so creative and skilled. It's unbelievable. One of my favorite matchups was always Jordan Wolf because of how fast and how strong he was. And I knew for parts of my career, I felt like there'd be guys that wouldn't time after time try to test me. Right. And I knew when I was playing Jordan that, he was coming and he didn't care. And I love that he would,
he's a Philly guy, right?
He's a Philly guy. So we grew up playing against each other. So I knew him well. He knew me well. But he was a guy that, I knew I was going to get dodged probably 15 to 20 times in that game. It was always fun.
I love it. That's a great point. Someone that's willing to go after you, love that more than just, passing it away, deferring. But we don't want to take up too much of your night. Boys, do we have any final questions for Tucker?
No, I think I grilled him enough. Sorry.
Yeah. What's your prediction for the score for this weekend, just so I can open my DraftKings here?
Okay. I'm going to say we're going to go 13-9.
Okay.
Love it.
That's good. That beats the spread. All right,
Yeah.
Tuck.
Talk to you,
Hey,
brother.
I'll flip this 50-50 with you, man. Okay. Go
I
with
have
Pete
one last
Rozak.
question though. Actually, does Drexel still play that dumbass goal song after every time they score? Did you guys finally retire that?
I think that's retired. Yeah.
The Philly Union goal song?
Yeah, we don't play that anymore. Not
Yes,
since
I've heard that 14 times every time he played them.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I do.
No.
It goes like dun 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 dun. Oh my
No,
gosh!
that's not the Philly Union, dog. That's the Eagles, man.
No. It's the Philly Union goal song because we at Villanova practice before we played Drexel, we used to pump it on the speakers because it was so annoying.
They were tired.
Man.
Don't anymore.
Right, save this for your therapist, man.
Yeah, man. Jesus.
Well, if it's retired, I'm glad.
Yeah.
But Tucker, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're rooting for you this weekend. We're excited to watch this matchup. We're rooting for you guys big time, and thanks so much for coming on.
For sure.
Talk, you're the best, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Go Bulls.
Yes, sir.
All right, and welcome back from that interview with Tucker. Hope you guys enjoyed our time talking with him. He really has us believing in the Atlas for next week, but be sure to tune in with him, watch his matchup. For all you young guys, he's a great player to watch, great player to learn from. He's one of those guys that plays the position right. Now we have Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When he was talking about, playing basketball and how that really translates to, sitting in the chair, playing defense without the stick, throwing those rusty gates is fun to watch, but they don't work all the time. You gotta have those fundamentals, and kids watching him, can learn that, pick that up fast. That's what his base is.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, now we have, our new favorite segment, our mailbag segment. Make sure you guys listening are writing in, tweet at us, comment on our Instagrams. We read them all. We have 4 questions for this week, and it's always a fun topics, some random topics, and just gets the conversation flowing. So we're glad you guys are interacting with us, writing them in. First question is a pretty cool one, I think. And Greg was talking about it this week, so I'll let you start it off. Thoughts on the new PLL trophy?
I like it, man. I think it looks sleek. I think it looks cool. I think it looks updated, but it also looks classy. And I also think that it's built to last, just in case the Chaos win again. For those of you who don't know, Chaos flat out shattered last year's trophy. So I guess, Mike and Paul were like, glass. We're gonna go in a different direction now. But yeah, I think it looks great, man. It looks classy. And I also continuing to combine the history of professional lacrosse. I love the fact that they're adding the old champions, the past champions to the cup. I think that's a really smart move. I know the Steinfeld Cup from the MLL used to do that. That thing was, Scotty, when you held that thing up, did that shock you how heavy it was? The Steinfeld Cup was heavy as shit.
Dude, if I didn't have all that adrenaline flowing after we won, I was like, whoa, I'm doing a military press right now.
Dude, yo, that thing was heavy as shit. So this looks light and it looks good. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, for me, I just think it's classy. Like you said, I think it's watching Paul talk about it and Mike, they went to Tiffany's, right? Was it Tiffany's, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and they do a lot of other sports leagues, I think, too, pro leagues. Like I said, just going along that narrative, they're doing it right. Everything we do, we're doing it right here. I just think it's a nice look, sleek, simple but sleek, and I like it.
I did hear a few people were like, ugh, it says Cash App on it. I can't believe that. You can't believe it?
Understand,
okay, let me educate you then. That's called sponsorship. And when the PLL is so wealthy that they don't need sponsorships on their trophy, it won't be there anymore. But until then, that's a huge deal to have a company sponsoring the trophy. That's the way it works.
So it's funny you bring that up because I've been watching that Lakers legacy documentary on HBO.
It's great.
And dude, it's awesome. And when the bus guy was in financial trouble, he was the first person to sell the naming rights to the stadium. And it's like no one did it before. It's like, duh, you make money off something. Excuse me?
Winning time.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
or maybe it's on Hulu. HBO was the show, the like fictional version. This is like more documentary, but
Greg, you'll love it.
Oh, a
it's
doc.
awesome.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
It's a doc. Yeah. It's a documentary, and it has like all the kids on it. It's about kind of just the whole he got into the Lakers, but he was the first one to sell the naming rights to the stadium because he was in financial trouble during like the market crashing, and he was like, "How can I make money without selling my teams?" He's like, "I'll sell the naming rights." And now exactly. It's all about the money. Come on, people complaining about that. Keep punching air, but what I don't like about it is you can't drink out of it. Is there anything
That's the
better
point. That's the
than
point.
seeing? Is there anything better than seeing after an NHL team wins the Stanley Cup? Seeing like what they do with the cup. They put Cheerios in it. They put beer in it. They put whatever in it. It's so sick.
Yeah,
I
but
think
this is
I think that's a big miss.
well, last year proved this is why we can't have nice things.
Nice
Okay.
things. Correct.
Now, hockey.
Do you want to talk about what happened last year?
Hockey,
So you're saying this new trophy wasn't planned?
No, last year they could drink out of
No,
it.
last year's trophy shattered because of the chaos. So I'm saying we can't have nice things until we can prove that we can handle things. Lacrosse players need to just not have something. You know what? There's some lovely solo cups here in the locker room, and there's bottles of champagne you can pop. Enjoy yourselves. Just stay the hell away from the trophy. Enjoy the look of it. Okay? And when we can handle ourselves like all the other sports teams, then we get to deserve a cup to drink out of. But we proved we can't handle that.
You see all the stories coming out about people denting the Stanley Cup. Tom Brady threw the Lombardi Trophy from one boat to another boat.
Yeah. And what happened when he threw it?
It was a catch, but I mean, come on, it's reckless.
He didn't overhand throw that into the river. Got caught by his favorite receiver, by the way. No, I like the trophy. I hope it sticks around.
Yeah, I do too. I think it looks clean. It looks clean. It's sharp for sure, and it's like kind of in that the time period before when the playoffs end and the Super Bowl, and it's like nothing's kind of going on. They're just looking for storylines to put out there. It's like perfect timing. Nothing really happening this week. Oh, look at our flashy new trophy. But yeah, I mean, I like
trophy fire. Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Speaking of Tom Brady, my boy, even though he's at the Bucs now, a listener wants to know if you guys are excited for football season.
Oh hell yeah! I'm excited to see I'm a Giants fan. It's been pretty painful the last couple seasons, but I think this new coach is going to get it right. So I'm pretty excited to watch the G-men maybe do something, which would be nice.
Yeah,
Are you an Eagles fan, Greg?
I'm much more of a college football fan. I love college football. And, my whole family went to Penn State. I went to Penn State. It's this time of year that I am ready to be hurt again. I am ready for Penn State to squeak out a couple of games against iffy teams and then get pumped by Ohio State, and I'm going to enjoy all of it. My favorite part of football season, though, is me, because I'm a Ravens fan, is listening to people obsess over the fact that I'm a Ravens fan and get angry about it. And, their tears are just so delicious. I enjoy it because if there's anything I've never given a shit about, it's what team anyone else cheers for. But apparently it's a big deal that I'm a Ravens fan.
Are you a Joe Flacco is elite kind of guy?
No, but I am a huge Lamar fan. And the more people hate on him, the more I like him. Just like the pineapple on my pizza. Every time someone tweets about how it's gross, it's just another week I'm going to be ordering it.
Are you going to make it out to Penn State for a game this season?
I think we're 1 year away from that. Milo is 10 months old right now. So once he's almost 2, I feel like we can take the boys for a little Penn State weekend. That'll be nice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll tell you what. My senior year of college, I drove out, me and a couple buddies, we drove from Villanova out to Penn State for the Penn State-Michigan whiteout game when Saquon was playing for Penn State. And I mean, holy shit.
Nothing like it, right?
Dude, Penn State's just a different world, and especially in football season, and going from like a smaller school like Villanova, where I mean, you show up anywhere in college, you're like, oh, this is college, but no, you go out to Happy Valley, that is college. We showed up.
Dead center of the state.
Game was at 7 p.m. We showed up there at 8 in the morning, and we were already playing catch up with the rest of the gang that was there. And, and it was such a fun time. It was an unbelievable game. Penn State won that game. But yeah, what an experience. I'd love to get back out there for another game.
Yeah, a whiteout game is definitely like bucket list for a father to take my kids to.
Oh, yeah.
So, tell Jackson, be like, hey, man, when you turn 16, I'm taking you up to Happy Valley for a whiteout game. You're going to become a man. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome. You're going to see Dad playing beer pong like the old days. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I get this next question is on the same vein as that. Do you guys have any good recruiting trip stories? Crazy parties, crazy coaches? This is a fun one.
I think Greg was more pumped up for this than me. Mine's actually boring. I only did one official, and it was to Notre Dame. That was it. I kind of knew right away, and I was there. I think John Greeny was from Long Island, hosted me. I mean, it was fun. But I was also petrified of my father, guys. My father is a Marine and a correction officer. So if I went to jail, I would have to call a correction officer, which was not really in the cards. So no, mine was pretty low key.
Yeah, it was smart. You went to a school that's no fun. Stay out of trouble, and I appreciate that.
Stop that,
man. Notre Dame is not fun. So
fun is where you make it.
So I'm so old that I'm from an era where you would actually go on your official visits and then decide what school you went to. So when I was getting recruited out of nowhere my senior year, it came down to Penn State, Towson, Loyola, Maryland, and believe it or not, Butler University in Indianapolis. And Coach Calhoun was my coach at Top 205, and we hit it off really well. So he's like, we want to offer you a full ride. I was like, that's really nice of you, but, I want to see if my best friend can come out and visit with me. He's like, absolutely. So me and my best friend, Greg, went out to Butler University, and it was Halloween weekend. And a couple of seniors in high school going out to Butler University, middle of nowhere, and they decide they're going to take us out to a little fun Friday evening in College Town. And we went to this like 6-story dorm that was every floor was a different version of a Halloween party. I'm not going to throw a lot of details in there, but I'm just going to let you know that 2 18-year-old high school kids getting thrown in that type of environment, you cannot do that anymore in 2022. Nope. I can guarantee you that. Nope. But it was hard, but I had to say no to Butler. And then 2 years later, they closed the program down. So,
choice was made correctly.
But I can't top that one, that's for sure. But the way my recruiting was done, I did most of my recruiting in between the summer from my sophomore year to my junior year. So all my visits to schools were during the summer. So there was no really overnights at that point. But I did one during my sophomore year of high school, which I was 15 years old, to the University of Michigan. And I'm 15 years old, get dropped off with my buddy from Belmont Hill, where I went to high school. The two of us did it together. We get just dropped off in Ann Arbor. Coach picks us up from the airport, and it's just like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. It's holy shit. It's like, I mean, I had barely had like 5 beers in my life at that point. And you get thrown into the deep end pretty fast, but it was a good time. And then when I committed to Villanova, I would always do my visits in the fall, and the rest of my class would do it in the winter. But I couldn't go in the winter because I played hockey, so I'd request I do it in the fall. And I just remember there was this bar called Flips, and they used to do this thing called Flips Fridays. They don't do it anymore for a reason, but you go in, you pay $10, they give you a cup on your way in, and that's your cup all night. Fill it up like well drinks. And I didn't even have an ID, I don't think, at that point. But one kid on the team just grabbed a stack and he's throwing them off the balcony out the window. And we're sitting outside catching the cups. Oh, we've already been in. We've already been in. And I was just like, wow, like this is college. Like I can't wait to go here. Like this is sweet.
That's why you spend $50,000 a year for your kid to go do that. College. Unbelievable. Yo, at Drexel, you could probably ask some of your buddies. At Drexel in Philly, there's a bar where on Friday nights, I forget how much it is, like $2 drinks or something, until the first person goes to the bathroom. So they would have at like 10 o'clock, people would start stacking chairs and tables in front of the door. And if you left, you couldn't come back in. So people are just coming up with any way they can to stop people from going to the bathroom.
That's so funny. Bring up. I did a visit at Drexel, and Volker is the fucking man. I mean, he's such a great guy.
Yeah,
he is the man. And so it's my dad, my brother, and I. My brother's going from 7th into 8th grade, and he's just like kind of doing his own thing, no interest at all. And Volker's like, all right, we're going to show you around campus, blah, blah, blah. And he's like looking at it. He's like, do you even want to come? Like, my brother's like, not really. He's like, all right, go into this restaurant. The waitresses are hot. Tell them you know me. They'll give you a burger and fries and a milkshake, and they'll take care of you till we get back. And my dad laughs about this to this day. He's like, I just left a 7th grader in the middle of Philadelphia at this restaurant because this coach said the waitresses were hot and would take care of them.
Wow. I'll tell you what, we should probably get off this subject because so far, Volker is getting fired. Your brother's going to jail for underage drinking. Your father's getting child protective services called on him. So
he's drinking milkshakes. He's drinking milkshakes. But that was a good story. My dad, he listens to the podcast. He'll get a kick out of that. He'll howl from that one. But the last question is Scotty. One dude you never wanted to see standing with a step down from 12 yards. Besides CJ Costabile.
Yeah, good, Danny, good. It was Hartzell. When I was a rook, Hartzell scored on me from like 35 yards. I think he pulled up, and I didn't know that guys would actually have the balls to pull up. So I was like, it's all good. And he was that was the year he had 11 twos, and like he probably got a 20K bump from Warrior if he got it. So he was just shooting. Like he was on the machine. They were 0-12.
People have to go on YouTube and look at that has to be up somewhere. Like
no, it's somewhere.
We used to watch game film and we'd be like, what the shit is Hartzell doing?
And the MLL2 was a full yard further. People forget that.
Yeah, 16 yards.
It didn't matter. If it was 16, it didn't matter if it was 40. As soon as he crossed
the midline, he'd start crow hopping. Like, you know where the soccer circle is on a field? Like, his back foot was there. And he was putting
it. Relax.
No. Scotty, not just you. He did it like 11 times that summer. That's what I'm saying. Dude, you would watch film and be like, holy shit.
The only thing is we use the grippy balls in the MLL. So the thing would kind of
things would move.
It would like knuckle. Like it would like, I was like, oh no, he's pulling up stick side.
What was the reason for that? That was so funky.
The grippy ball? Shoot hard. They still use it. They still use it in the PLL. It's grippy ball.
Is it still grippy ball? Yeah, it adds a little pop to it. Movement for show.
Yeah.
The idea was to be able to throw the ball a little bit harder, and I also think it kept the ball in the sticks a little bit better because people wanted scoring. People also forget that the PLL's 2-point line used to be a little bit closer. The PLL used to have a 45-second shot clock, and they also used to have no more than 3 pulls on the field at a time. So if you got a man down, you were like, we're getting scored on. So it used to be, and on face-offs, I remember the first year I was watching Paul Kennedy face-off against Chris Searcy, and on the whistle, everybody could run in, not just the wings, everybody. And I remember watching one face-off, I'm like, F that noise. I'm not about that at all. No way. You can't pay me enough for that shit.
Yeah. Nuts. Yeah, so Hartzell.
I'm sure he's gonna love that answer.
He will.
Giving your buddy some gas. That's always good.
He will.
Well, fellas, that's the last question. That's the last question I got for you guys. What a great show. I'm so pumped about that news that we're shipping it down to Philly. I
wait.
can't stop thinking about that. That's going to be so much fun. 2 more weeks, right? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, man.
I'm
18th,
ready.
September 18th. So it's a little bit more than 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, make sure you guys all mark that on your calendar. PLL Championship going down to Philly. It's such a great venue down there. If you guys haven't been down, is it at the link or where is it? Is it at the soccer field?
No, it should. I believe it's at Union Stadium where the first PLL championship was. And if you guys, if you're thinking of going, it is a gorgeous venue right on the water in Chester, PA. It's beautiful. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and that's a great size for
it's perfect.
the PLL crowd. I think it's gonna be jumping. It's gonna feel like a fucking championship, and we're gonna be there. So we're pumped about it. Make sure if you guys are listening to this show on Apple or Spotify that you're subscribing. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to TorchPro's YouTube channel. And fellas, that's all we got. Until next week.
Boys,
Scotty, good luck on your pick.